everybody, welcome back. It's Roy and Lily from 4-Star Homes. Hey, you know what? Today we're going to address some common questions that we get asked, and I think one of the biggest questions that we get asked is, are there alligators here?
All people think that if you live in the Florida, alligators everywhere. You just open the door and alligators sit outside and watching on you.
Fortunately, that's not true. We've all heard stories about these monsters crossing golf courses. So, are they here in Country Club Village? So, the answer is no. Come on, folks, stop and think about it. This is a senior park for senior citizens. Do you honestly think the county's going to let some 10, 12-foot monsters crawl around and just eat people? Obviously not. We do have about 12 lakes here in the park, and some people have told me that they've seen small gators in the lakes, but you know what? After 8 years, I've yet to see one. However, if you do encounter an alligator, it just makes common sense not to run up to it and take a selfie to impress your friends. Alligators of any size, even babies, can be very dangerous. As you can see in the picture here, these babies have very sharp teeth. And once they latch onto you, they're not going to let go. So it can be very painful, if not bloody. In other words, if you ever encounter an alligator, just leave it alone. What I really want to talk about are your neighbors. And no, I'm not talking about the type that walk on 2 legs. I'm talking about the ones that walk on 4 legs, if not more. Country Club Village has a wide variety of different wildlife, but we still have all your old favorites. Things like ducks, bunnies, and squirrels who are happy to take the food right off your picnic table. The first bug I want to talk about is the orb weaver spider, and those are the spiders that create those absolutely beautiful symmetrical webs which are 2 to 3 feet in diameter. The issue with them is that the anchors that they use could stretch outwards at 10 feet, and if you've ever walked through one of those webs in the morning, you know it's a very sticky and creepy feeling, so sometimes you have to get the broom. The only issue about the orb weaver is that it builds its web at night. By the morning, it's totally destroyed, but the same spider will come back day after day after day and just create a brand new web. So sometimes you have to go out there multiple times, knock those webs down. The next bug that I want to talk about is a bug that you'll probably never see, and it's called a no-see-em. It's a very, very, very tiny bug, and it usually flies around in a large group. And they're so small you can't see them, and hence we get the name no-see-ems. Okay, get it?
They love me.
And they just buzz around your head, they get all in your face and everything. Just a pesky little bug. All right, now the next bug that we're going to introduce.
Your favorite.
Oh, I hate these bugs more than anything. And folks, that is the palmetto bug. Ew. Listen, regardless of what name they give these bugs, let me tell you something. They're just cockroaches, and they're big cockroaches, and sometimes you see them almost the size of your thumb. I kid you not. They're the creepiest bug that you're ever going to get inside your house. And the reason why they call them the palmetto bug is because they actually breed on the dying foliage that falls from the palmetto palm tree. However, I can tell you for a fact that they'll breed under any kind of decaying foliage. One way to help keep these bugs from getting inside of your house is to rake out any dead foliage that you might find around the edges of your house. Another thing you may consider is go ahead and hire the Orkin guy or some other pest control guy to come in and spray your house every now and then. Otherwise, you could try this Ortho home defense system that we have available at Lowe's or Home Depot, and it does work pretty good at a very reasonable price. The good news is that these bugs need water to live, and if they can't get water, then a lot of times you'll wake up in the morning and find something like this laying on your kitchen floor. What would you say is the best way to keep palmetto bugs out of the kitchen?
Oh,
speak up.
Just clean the kitchen. Clean, 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 clean.
Every night before you go to bed, clean, okay? Put a stopper in your drains if you can. Just do anything to keep these bugs from coming into the house. And that's going to lead us into our next bug, okay? If you leave just a tiny, tiny crumb out on the top of your counter, you could expect a visit from the sugar ants. As the name implies, these ants are attracted to not just sugar, but anything that might have grease on it. The problem with these ants is that if one ant even finds a single speck of food, he calls all his friends, and before you know it, you got hundreds and hundreds of these ants invading your kitchen. They are so small they can come in through tiny crevices that you don't even think of. Just like magic, these ants just appear from nowhere. It's just another reason to keep all your food tightly sealed and to keep your kitchen as clean as possible. The next critter I'm going to introduce is an invasive animal. It's definitely unique. It's probably something you may never find in your house, but sometimes they do get in. Don't let the smiling face of this particular frog fool you. What you're looking at is probably one of the biggest garbage disposals you'll ever find stuck to one of your windows. What you're looking at is a Cuban tree frog, and this is considered to be the largest tree frog in North America. And believe me when I tell you, it's not like the little spring peepers that you're used to up north. The female frogs can get quite large. How big? Ladies, go ahead and make a fist and take a look at that, because I've seen female frogs that size several times. In addition to having powerful rear legs for jumping, take a look at the fingertips on this. Those are like suction cups, giving this particular frog the ability to stick to just about anything they jump on. If you have trees or shrubs bordering your house, I guarantee eventually you'll hear the thumping of these frogs as they jump from the tree onto the side of your house or windows. And they're not picky about what they eat. They'll eat anything from bugs to hard-shelled beetles to even small lizards. Their appetites are basically insatiable. Being strictly nocturnal, you could see that human presence doesn't seem to bother them at all. Sometimes these particular tree frogs will find their way into your home, and you have to be careful when handling them. Their skin does give off an irritant, so it's always best to use a pair of gloves or a plastic bag or something when catching them. You can see the oil that the frog left behind on the glove here, so it's very important that if you use your bare hands to make sure you wash your hands very good with soap and water. The first time I ever encountered one of these frogs was on my kitchen floor, and you can see how big this frog was in relationship to my cat. Having no real idea what this thing was, I thought it was interesting and took a couple pictures of it. After I took the pictures, I went to pick it up and it jumped right on my face, attaching itself right over my left eye, just like those face huggers from the movie Aliens. My eye swelled shut for about 2 hours. It was not an enjoyable experience. All right, so let's get into some more familiar animals. Let's go ahead and talk about nocturnal mammals. Do you know what nocturnal means? Nighttime. Animals that come out in the nighttime. I'm going to point out 3 different animals, and some of them you might recognize, like the raccoons in this tree. The possum is another animal that you may quickly recognize. But if you're from up north, there's probably one animal that you're not too familiar with, and that's the armadillo. These troublesome animals have a tendency to burrow right under your skirting to live under your house. Not only that, but they're not the most attractive animal to look at, and they do smell pretty bad too. The armadillo feasts by digging bugs out of the ground and usually avoids human contact. Now, obviously, you folks probably know that those particular animals do bite, and they are known to carry disease. So the best thing is try not to handle them. You know, it's important just to keep the lids on your garbage cans closed tightly if you're leaving your garbage out. Otherwise, you wake up in the morning, you'll have garbage strewn all over your yard.
Oh yeah, keep your garbage closed in the garbage can. I put my garbage in the shed because sometimes in the morning I open the door and my garbage everywhere.
Yeah, so just a little lesson there. All right, so this next species of animals that I'm going to introduce you to is probably something that you will find in your house on occasion, and that's going to be lizards. Now, ladies, before you start going, ew, lizards, okay, let me explain to you a little bit about these lizards. You know, we have about dozens of different varieties of lizards here in Florida. And let me tell you, the lizards are very helpful to the ecosystem here because they eat the bugs and stuff that you really don't want to get into your house. Now, I'm not going to go through all the different varieties of lizards. What I am going to do is introduce you to the most common ones, and I split them into 2 categories. The first one is what I call the household lizard. These are the smaller lizards that you'll typically find around your house or even on the inside of your house. And then I have what's called the retail lizards. And And those lizards are usually the bigger lizards you're going to find outside of the park, like in restaurants or the shopping centers. Okay, those are what you'll find there. So the first lizard I want to introduce you to is probably the most common one in Florida, and that is the Anole. The Anole is without a doubt the most abundant lizard here in the state of Florida, and it's probably one of the only indigenous lizards that actually live here. If you walk around the outside perimeter of your home, chances are you'll end up kicking up 2 or 3 of these lizards. They're practically a dime a dozen. The household versions that we get here in Country Club are generally about 4.5 inches long and are completely docile. The males are very territorial, usually staying in the same place for years, so it's not unusual for you to walk outside and get greeted by the same lizard over and over again. Case in point, this particular lizard here, he's been living on my workbench for the past 2 years. The feet on the anoles give them the ability to stick to a lot of different surfaces, much like the Cuban tree frog. These lizards just love to eat bugs. These lizards typically avoid human contact, but once they get to know and trust you, they can become very friendly. One unique feature about these lizards is their curiosity. They're always interested in knowing what you're doing, like this particular lizard here. He actually lives outside of my workshop, but he's constantly looking through the window like a peeping Tom. Now, rumor has it that this next lizard actually brings you good luck if you have one living in your house. Now, if that's true, then I got double the good luck because I have 2 of these particular lizards living in my workshop. And that lizard would be the gecko. When people associate lizards with Florida, the gecko is without a doubt the most famous. Always displayed in blazing colors, the gecko is famous for their unusual stance and the funny way they walk. Even the Gecko lizard is based on the gecko with its big eyes and very friendly appearance. There are many varieties of geckos, and the colorful ones do exist. Unfortunately, you're going to be disappointed. The geckos that live here, well, they're rather ugly. These are nocturnal lizards. They only come out in the evening, and at first I wasn't too thrilled to have them in the shop because I find them quite creepy. They're really lacking in the looks department, but after a period of time they become quite accustomed to me, and they are quite entertaining, so I let them stay. Both species feed on bugs, but I'm going to tell you what, these geckos, they have a ferocious appetite. That's all they do is eat. Now, you know what? You're more likely to encounter the Anole lizard in your home versus the gecko. Geckos are very solitude critters who are really not interested in your living quarters. However, finding them in your screen porches or your Florida rooms, that's not unusual. They will usually hunt anywhere around any type of lighted area where bugs might congregate. Now, both of these lizards have defense mechanisms. The Anole does have the ability to change colors depending on their background. The one that lives with me, that little guy, I've seen him change from brown to dark black and even a bright silver. Now, both species are fast movers and they're very evasive to catch, and both are also very good jumpers. And don't even think of catching one of these things by their tails. Their tails are detachable. You'll be stuck holding a tail in your fingers and that lizard will be laughing at you as it runs for cover. Okay, so the big question is, do they bite? Well, both the Anole and the geckos are very docile and passive lizards. They typically will not bite even if you catch them with your hand. Most Anoles do get a bit more aggressive during mating season and they may try to snap at you. It's startling at first because they do have a very strong grasp and they may not let go, but in the end, it's pretty laughable as the Anole does not have any teeth. If you do happen to capture one of these lizards, just go ahead and return it to the outside. Just keep in mind that both the Anole and the gecko are soft-bodied lizards, so when handling them, handle them gently. Otherwise, you could injure them or even kill them. When you leave Country Club Village, you'll encounter what I consider to be the retail-sized lizards. These lizards are typically found around restaurant parking lots, mall parking lots, anywhere that there might be bugs. And as you can see, the Anoles here are actually quite larger than the ones that you'll encounter at your house. One cool lizard that you might get the opportunity to see is the African agama. The African agama is usually referred to as the rainbow lizard because of its bright, vivid colors. This is an invasive species from Africa. The males can actually reach a length of about 10 inches, and they pretty much just eat vegetation and bugs. The curly-tailed lizard is a lizard you're typically not going to find here around Spanish Lakes Country Club Village, But as you move down south, more into Jensen Beach, Port St. Lucie, you'll see these particular lizards quite frequently. When at rest, their tails are actually straight out, but anytime that they're alerted or on the move, it curls up, giving them that really unique look.
Now, you know what? We may not have any 10-foot gators here, but we do have one particular animal that could reach about 5 feet in length. So let's go ahead and take a look at that one.
Oh yeah, we do have snakes here in Country Club Village, and the most common one that you'll encounter is called the black racer. Reaching a length of up to 5 feet long, the black racer is named due to its quick speed. The black racer feeds on small rodents or any small mammal that it could actually overpower. They don't like human contact, and if they detect you approaching them, they will typically just run away very, very quickly. If you catch one, the snake can actually get fairly aggressive. Even though it's non-venomous, it does have fangs, so if it does grasp onto you, it's going to be very painful. So the best thing to do with these snakes is just let them do their business.
Lily, what's your opinion of the snakes?
Oh my god, I am afraid snakes, but I don't touch snakes. Snakes don't touch me. One snake, by the way, live under our house.
Yes, we do have one.
Snakes look for mouse. It's a good job.
Yeah, believe me, you may not like the snakes, but those particular snakes, they're going to eat the things that you really, really don't want to get into your house.
And we're going to round out this list of reptiles with one of my favorites, and that's the turtle. With all the different lakes that we have here in Country Club Village, sooner or later you're going to meet up with one of these turtles. And this particular female here, she proudly let me video her as she laid eggs and built a nest right here in my backyard. The last animal on my list is a rare one, and one that you may get an opportunity to see maybe only once or twice. And this is called the gopher tortoise. This is not a water-based tortoise, but rather a land animal. It actually digs a big hole in the ground and calls that home. Not only that, but their lifespan could actually reach up to 60 years. These big tortoises can easily get up to 12 pounds, and they're currently on Florida's protected species list.
All right, folks, so that's going to go ahead and conclude the new neighbors that you're going to be meeting once you move here to Country Club Village. So we hope that you found this video to be informative as well as interesting. You were going to say something?
Yeah,
what?
May I say something?
Go ahead.
It's isn't terrible place. No. It's beautiful place, and it's Florida. Florida is a house for this animal.
Yep, just like the animals you have up north. We have a whole different species of animals down here.
We just live here. Animals live here. We live together.
Yeah, you learn to live together with everything that's here. So, folks, if you have any questions or you want to leave your comments, please go ahead and do so in the comment box below. We'd be interested in knowing what you think. So until our next video, hope to see you again.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Don't eat snake.
Bye-bye.